Welcome. Good morning. You know that feeling when something's off, but you can't quite explain it? You push through thinking maybe you just need more discipline, more drive, when really something deeper is out of sync. Welcome to the Daily Reframe, where we slow down and get honest about what's actually stuck, not just what's loudest, most urgent, and demanding our attention. I'm Jordan. Each day this week, you'll watch a real clarity session unfold in real time. No prep, no script, just a conversation that starts with what's real and often lands on something we didn't even know was there. This isn't coaching. It's not a strategy session. It's calibration for when you know something's off but haven't had the space to say it out loud. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to answer a couple of frequently asked questions about this daily reframe. A daily reframe is something that you can book yourself. So I'm doing it in public today with Celeste and every day this week. But if you book a call, one of the questions was if I book a call, will that call be in public? Like with Celeste. No, this is completely private. When you book a call using the link in the description here, it's completely private. It also may range from 30 to 60 minutes. I block out a full 60 minutes for you. What you see with Celeste every day here, we keep to less than 30. But I want to have time to sit with you. So know that you will have that space as well. And if the 60 minutes isn't enough and we need a little bit more conversation, we'll figure out how to make that happen. Also, can I book the same day? Because often when we hit one of these blocks, it's right there in the moment, right? And so, yes, you can block the same day with the little caveat of course, subject to availability. So check the calendar, see what's available, and you may be able to book something today. Okay, welcome, Celeste. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Midway through a beautiful weekend. I know that you've had a lot going on with
Yeah.
family and business and everything these past few weeks. But yesterday we got introduced to you, the Soul Sister Project. And so I wanted to kind of pick up a piece of the conversation that we left off. And that was you mentioned that you're going to be in Dallas for a week for an event, for an adventure.
Yeah.
So I just want to dive into that. How are you feeling about that? And specifically, what are you most excited about or looking forward to?
So I feel like it's a battle. Okay. So there's a battle. I've always known that I've always had this feeling that like I was supposed to be on a stage. Like anytime I would, go to a conference or anything like that, it would be I'm supposed to be up there. And then this like overwhelming fear would come over me. And I I battled silence for 40 years. Like I really just did not have I had a lot to say, but I felt trapped it kind of in my mind until I had a a breakdown that went to a breakthrough at the age of 40 into 41. So that year after I turned 40, and then it was like 2 days after the day after I turned 41, I got the answers I needed. But I was so I had this breakthrough. The excitement is that I'm there, right? That God's opening the doors to the things that I've known in my spirit forever. The book, the stages, things like that. He's highlighting me to people that I could never have busted the door down to. And that's an excitement, but it's also very it's very vulnerable. And if I hadn't walked through what I did with my mental health and breaking off the need to perform, he wouldn't have opened those doors for me. Does that make sense? That it's like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have been that person um to be in this position, but that doesn't make the my flesh wants to scream because the attention's on me and I don't want the attention. But I've also that's been used against me too, like attention seeking and all this stuff. And so it's a walk, Jordan. This has been a journey and a walk. And I'm just trying to keep, and I say it all the time, forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus, because see, when I and I think anybody steps into those callings that, I mean, truly, y'all, like, it was really exhilarating and thinking about that kind of stuff and ideating about it. But when you're there and you have all this stuff in the background, God's like, "Do you trust me?" He keeps asking me that. "Do you trust me even if?" Right? And so it's exciting. I'm walking, but it is forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus, and I liken that to the valley of the shadow of death, and I know that that sounds crazy, but he gave me this vision when I was, last year on my podcast, we were going through Psalms 23, and he gave me this vision of walking through a haunted house because I've never been able to walk through a haunted house and not literally put my forehead to the shoulder blades of the person in front of me. So my husband will like he will walk me through. I don't do it anymore because I just don't scare myself for fun. And it's one of my traumatic experiences as a child, but that's what I think of when forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus, when that, that fear, it's not my fear, but that fear that I've dealt with my entire life and I'm like, no, you can go to hell. I put my forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus and I like hold on to his robe and like cover my eyes and let him lead. And that's where I'm at right now.
So, are you speaking at this event?
I am. Yes. So it is a competition.
Mhm.
So I don't know, I don't know what that looks like because again, I go in blind. I try not to do a lot of research. Some
Overthinking.
people think that's stupid, but it keeps me humble and it keeps me in the moment, and that's what I need, to do the things God's called me to. I also say I live under a rock because we didn't even address this yesterday. I'm living in the middle of a cotton field in West Texas. I have built this business online, um, in public in a cotton field in West Texas, and it was during a 2-year period where I didn't hardly leave my house. And I needed that. I needed that for my nervous system. And now he's calling me to the ground. He's calling me out away from the cotton field. And so I stay, yeah, I am presenting. I am going to speak. I don't know what that looks like. And I also am going now 3 days prior to that, we're crafting like, a signature talk. There's a chance to be on TV. I have a TV episode coming out at the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year, prepping for that, but it's not with the same company. And so he's opening all of these doors for me to actually use the voice that I fought so hard for. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. What are you nervous about that you're willing to share, regarding saying yes to that prep time in advance? So you have the event you're speaking at, you've got this competition,
Yeah.
but that prep time, um, I
Yeah.
know that that wasn't necessarily an immediate easy yes for you. So how are you feeling about that?
It's one thing to go and be on for 3 days and compete. It's another thing to go 3 days prior and to be seen.
Hmm.
Because in the competition, I might, like, actually, like, get emotional today. In the competition, it's very easy and it's not, I mean, I have ADHD, I mask for all my, like, in those 2 years of forming the business, going live, doing the thing, that unmasking happened. But there's a vulnerability to show up and actually be seen. It's really easy for me to be behind the camera right now, but to have eyeballs on me and to see reaction or feel energy, it's a totally different thing. And so it wasn't even the competition. The competition, I didn't even know I signed up for a competition, just FYI. That's how blind I was going into this. But, I thought I was going to learn. But the 3 days prior, because Holy Spirit highlighted me to someone, um, I've had this opportunity to go for those 3 days. It's in a very small setting. with less than 10 women, and it puts you in a vulnerable spot to be seen, not to be seen from stage, but to be seen as you, like the vulnerable human you are, right? And so it's he's just he's doing some amazing things, and forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus, because when I've been seen before, I've been rejected. And so I just trust. I have to trust. That's the only thing I can't do.
Mhm. What made you say yes?
Holy Spirit. It was when I said yes to going live, and I go back to that because that was the turning point in my life. That was the turning point where I was like, I just showed up raw, vulnerable, and I did have, points, but it always was Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit was always in it, and I would always go off script, or even off bullet points, and it was beautiful. But um, it was in the yes of that it's given me the um, backbone, is kind of what I feel like. It's like my backbone straightened, and it wasn't me. I know
Mhm.
that when I go into rooms, it's him, as long as I am my yes. He has my yes. Yeah.
That's beautiful. How do you determine what is Holy Spirit? And let's just say it specifically with this speaker competition and this retreat. How did you know that this was the next yes?
Well, me and you talked about it. We talked about it over the phone when you were talking to me about this, and I trusted when you asked me questions like you're asking me now. And you didn't answer for me, but you would ask me questions that would make me have to line up and ask him, because I mean, if I had it my way, Jordan, I'd turn off this camera and I'd live in the country. I'd live in the country, and we'd have money coming in and all these things. And God put us in a place where it wasn't we had to, it was like, I will bless this if you will do this, right?
Mhm.
Um, we were on the phone, and you were asking questions, and there's this alignment that comes, and it comes. I asked God last Easter 2024, what makes a perfect human? And he told
Mm.
me an unfragmented one, because I was looking at the life and death of Jesus, and I'm like, they killed a perfect man. I have tried to be perfect for them, right? And them is, and it's just like that check in the box. I call it the Stepford wife of a Christian variety, but check in the box, walking the walk, talking the talk. I've done that, and I got rejected really hardcore, right? And so I asked God, what makes an unfragmented human? And he said, I mean, what makes a perfect human? He said, an unfragmented, all body, all soul, all spirit, lined up to his will, right? Like lined up with him, knowing that they know that they are in the will of the Father, and it looks weird. It looks weird. And that, when I feel that, I know I'm hearing him. There's this unfragmented, my body slows down, my chest can expand, my mind goes to those places without fear, and my spirit leaps. And that's what happened when you were asking me those questions.
Mhm. Little confession. I've had to learn to ask those questions and then stop and not over explain and not insert where I think the answer is, because so frequently, it's not all the time, but so frequently, the answer is different from what I expect. And I feel like I receive those questions a lot of times, um, in that same way. where I have to sit back and be in alignment, and then I know the question to ask. And a
Yeah.
lot of times that question will come and I'll think, "Oh, well, this is where this is headed." And it's really not. I actually if you had asked me, especially before I was more aware of staying in alignment this way, if you had asked me, "Should I go to this retreat?" I would have told you no. That was my initial, like, gut check, but that was my personal gut
Yeah.
check. And so I had to, and part of it was how quickly that thought came to my mind. I was like, "I don't know if that's actually right," because it came so fast and it was just reactionary.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess that's part of what this daily reframe is about, is not being reactionary and jumping to that conclusion, but actually sitting back and asking, "Wait, why?" And so I asked you, I think, just two questions, um, and they flowed. And even before you answered them, as I settled into just asking the question and not immediately answering it, I could feel that flow that you were experiencing as well. Um, and so there wasn't this moment when you were like, I'm going. Yeah, it's clear this is what I'm supposed to do. I was so with you there.
Yeah.
When moments before, I probably
You're
just
like,
with
"No."
my logic and everything
Yeah.
would have said, "No, not this time. Like, maybe there'll be another opportunity." Um, and I think I brought that up too as I asked the questions. I
You
there
did.
one of the questions
Yeah.
was something about, is it now? Is the retreat a yes? Is one question, and then is this round of the retreat, because this is a repeating sort of event. So,
Yeah.
and it's real interesting with things like retreats. It can be so dependent on who's there.
Yeah.
And so this retreat, even though it's the same retreat as will be run again, it's not, because there will be different attendees, different people, a
Yeah.
different spiritual atmosphere. And so asking that question was very important. And it just comes into focus like
Well,
lenses lining up.
and the way you asked it, my mind, like, went, "Where?" and saw 2 different outcomes, and it was like, you go, you experience this, and there's this, I heard sisterhood. I heard
Hmm.
sisterhood. And let's just go back to all of that too. Sisterhood's a little scary for me, y'all, like, walking into, something I don't understand. I don't know these people. I don't know why the Holy Spirit highlighted me to to summer, right? And so it's a little scary, but then God was like, "Or you're gonna miss something really amazing that I have for you, and that opportunity is not gonna come back because it's not the same alignment. It's not the same people. It's not the same flow. His spirit is uncontainable, and it goes where it goes, and that next retreat, that next mastermind, the next master of the stage will have Holy Spirit there, but it's not gonna be the same. And
Yeah.
so and that's what those that one question was like, "Now or later?" And I was like, "If I don't go now, I don't get what he really has for me." And
Mhm.
so, yeah,
It's so beautiful. And it's so beautiful to see it play out in real time, because I don't know, so often in the church, we talk about sin and not sin, and the
right,
narrow path being this like sinless path. And that's a whole other discussion. But this was not a situation of which way is the right way
right,
and which way is the wrong way. It's it's a different sort of question. It's like I said in the intro, it's not, sometimes we need to not just forge ahead, but it's not because we're going the wrong way.
right,
Those two paths that you saw, sometimes they're not super divergent, right?
right.
Like in this case, it was a now or take this little detour and then circle back around and it'll be different when you get back to it.
Yeah,
And sometimes that's the path he has. sometimes we jump the gun. We talked about that yesterday, right? With where
Yeah.
he gave you the Soul Sister Project 5 years ago to prepare you for what he has for you in this season for the Soul
Yeah.
Sister Project. And so sometimes the detour is not the wrong way or the bad path. Sometimes there's all kinds of things on this path for you as well. So it's staying in flow. That image that you've created with forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus, we have that in the prophets.
Yeah.
Before Jesus was named here on earth, we have that with the prophets of I can't remember the exact way that it's phrased, but it says that he'll tell us to go left or right, and this is the
Yeah.
way, walk in it. Um, and there's wisdom in walking along the ancient paths that have been established for us, the patterns, the
Yes.
structures.
So
But
I wanted to go back to that circular path that you were talking about, that
yeah,
detour. That's what it is, because in the ancient paths, the shepherds, well, even now, through the valley of the shadow of death, those paths are circular. They can't go
mm,
up and over. That will kill the
yeah,
sheep. They have to circle around, and they're forged ahead by ancient, like, I mean, it's generations upon generations of these shepherds that have been taking these same paths, and some of them are rocky and still rough, and then there's some that are smooth and you can see, but when it's treacherous, it is circular because the sheep will die. And so
hmm,
we when we have those detours and that, yeah, and I did. I saw a fork in the road, but it wasn't like this, like, sharp turn, like, "Rah, rah." No, he was like, "I will bless you either way, but
hmm.
I have something really amazing. Do you trust me?" So, yeah.
It's so beautiful. I'm so excited to see where this path leads you, what blessing is waiting for you there. Um, I don't have a next question. Do you have, I mean, I can come up with one, I always can, but do you have something that's heavy um,
It's not heavy. I wanna share something.
or
I
light?
wanna
Yeah.
So, all last year, and I've done a few, maybe a couple of weeks of podcasts this year, but um, every day I would end with laughing Jesus, and we'll have to show y'all him tomorrow. But joyful Jesus, and I would end with Psalm 32:8 and 9. And it reminded me of the verse you were thinking about just now with the prophets. But this is what I held on to every single day when I was healing out loud. And I'm still healing out loud, it's just in a different way. So it's Psalms 32:8 and 9 in the Passion Translation. And it says, I hear the Lord saying, I will stay close to you, instructing and guiding you along the pathway for your life. And here's the thing, too, about the pathway for your life, it looks different. It isn't the Stepford wife of the Christian variety. For most people, he has such an adventure for you. Anyways, okay. Instructing and guiding you along the pathway for your life. I will advise you along the way and lead you forth with my eyes as your guide. So don't make it difficult. Don't be stubborn when I take you where you've not been before. Don't make me tug you and pull you along. Just come with me. And that, he has my yes. I don't want to be stubborn like a mule. I want to go on that adventure. And when I get scared, I just rest my head on his shoulder blades. So, yeah.
So beautiful. It's such a beautiful image. I was thinking of my little children, listening to that bit of, uh, don't make me pull you along. And the immediate image when you said those words was like, come on, you're being resistant to coming. But in reality, with the little ones, especially my boy, it's just as much come on, keep moving forward as hold on. We're not
Yeah.
going that fast. We're not going over that cliff. We're not running ahead. It's
Yeah.
both, it can't be just a default slow down or speed up. It's keeping pace.
Yeah,
and that pace changes,
it
but
does.
the pacemaker, the individual, the God that we follow is reliable, whether he's moving slow or fast. He's got a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
So, so I guess this kind of brings up a question for our audience, or that might be in our audience's mind, about the daily reframe. Is this like some big spiritual breakthrough thing? Well, I guess sometimes.
sometimes.
I guess sometimes the reframe becomes that. Um, but when we've had our conversations that have kind of been in this reframe category, has it always been? I don't know. How
No.
would you answer that if somebody asked you?
No, I honestly, well, it's hard for me to separate spiritual and business anymore. Like it's just so combined. But me and you, we've talking about pace, setting the pace. I mean, we were running a marathon at lightning speed for about 3 weeks there, and it was all business, but it was all God too. And so, when we talk about business and stuff, why wouldn't we want to build the business with like-minded people, but with a God that is probably the best businessman you're ever going to meet? It doesn't have to be super spiritual, no. And that not all of our conversations go here. I'll have to say I kind of came in with a lot of like, oh man. And then when you bring up, what's happening, well, I'm excited, but there are some things that are breaking off in this season. And so, in the reframe, no, it's not all spiritual. No, you're very, very grounded. And we've worked together really well in just business. But, so for me, and I think it's probably individual, for me, it's hard for me to separate. But I do know that you were, um, yeah, you're good at like shining the light on the gold, like I said, and then like those cobwebs will disappear. So yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who would say, "Well, I've never felt that feeling that you're talking about, of that strong yes or no, or that feeling of being in alignment. I've never experienced that. Um, will the reframe be uncomfortable? Is the reframe for me? Will the reframe work?"
Yes. The reframe will work. Will it be uncomfortable? No, it is very calming and grounding. I every time I've experienced Jordan, it is a very grounding experience. And then what was the other question? I'm not sure, but it's very grounding. It's not uncomfortable, and uh, she's not. It is not. She's not doing open heart surgery on you, and ripping like things out. No, 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 no. That's not how this works. Yeah. So
Yeah. And that last thing that I want to leave people with thinking about is, I'm more of a mirror than anything else. That's why this isn't a coaching session. I've never been able to like package this, because it's not a framework that I bring to the table. It's listening and responding in a way that you then find out what you already knew, what you
mhm.
know deep down is the truth, the next step, the insecurity that needs breached, whatever it is. I just help uncover it,
Yeah,
and then you can see it, and it's so clear now what needs to be
yeah,
done, because you have all the pieces. I don't. I
yeah.
just ask if all the puzzle pieces are flipped over. I
Yes,
just help
that
flip
is.
them over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jordan, what would you say today's reframe is?
I think today's reframe is settling into that flow.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, thank you for asking that, because there is a step. Um, what I'm getting for you is that you have been in such a season of the shadow of death, of keeping that forehead to the shoulder blades of Jesus, that you've been walking through the horror,
Yeah.
and so that focus has been so necessary. But you don't have to keep it like
No,
this,
I don't.
um, and things are opening up for you. You can keep walking with him, holding his hand.
Yeah. I can look around now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that when I said that. I'm like, and then it opens up and you can see you're not always on that
Mhm.
rough path and you're not going circular all the time. That it opens up and you can see the valley. And so, and
Mhm.
like the beautiful valley. I'm not talking like if y'all have
Right.
looked at the valley of the shadow of death, that's a little scary. But no, I'm talking about milk of like land of milk and honey, right?
Mhm.
You've made it to land before time. I don't even remember what they called it, but like, you can see and it's beautiful and rainbows and green and I can look up.
Mhm.
So thank you.
And imagine if you didn't look up, what you
Oh
would miss.
man, I miss so much. I'd miss so much of the beauty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's our time for today. I'm excited to dive into more tomorrow. And remember, to those listeners, there is a link in the description here for you to book your own reframe this week only. This is not something that I do all of the time or make available all of the time, but counting down to my husband and my birthday week, we're opening up some time for you. And there are some details there. And feel free to message me. Um, for those details and if you have a question about how it all works. So, bless you
Y'all reach
and
out.
have a
Yes.
lovely rest of your day.
Bye y'all.